I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mochler,
Here.
Packard,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Manning,
Here.
Hammond.
Here. Conflict of interest declaration. I will have one when we add that feedback discussion to the agenda.
Okay.
Hearing no others, approve agenda with the request to add the liquor license renewals for Wimps and Toby's and a bond update discussion.
Can we also add the bond levy under that bond update discussion?
Okay. And then we need feedlot discussion. And under executive session will be contractual.
So I'll move to accept the agenda as amended.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Approved minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Entertain a motion to go into ditch board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Bid openings for Clay Creek. Here are these all.
Yeah. I'll take separated out the FEMA ones with the other section, and so there's three stacks there because there's like three separate project numbers. That one bid on the bottom there didn't have project numbers, so I'm not sure which one of the other two it goes with,
Okay.
so.
Can we, in deference to Mr. Healy, can we do Yankton's first?
Yes.
He needs to run back to continue his meeting back at Yankton.
I think they were projects 1 and 2. If it's
listed that.
Okay,
Oops.
and that's fine. Well,
Well, there's number, okay, that's number one. This is number one. Okay. I think we can,
Figure it out.
yeah.
thank you.
No, that doesn't make any sense either, because they're all three that say number one are from the same person.
My understanding is they could bid on project 1, 2, 3, or 4, or all, or,
It looks like everybody bid on everything,
okay,
but I don't know which ones are. Let's just start.
yeah.
We'll do that
Yeah.
quick.
It won't take long anyway.
This one's from Two Rivers. This must be, this is in Clay County. $247,478.
That's for all of them, right? For all the projects, right?
In Clay County.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not 100% sure, because there's two projects in Clay County,
Yeah,
so that's probably just one of the projects.
yeah.
Because it's Vermillion River to 461st, so this is the lower section of Clay County. And this one's from Lehman Construction for 372,000. This one's from Two Rivers. This, I believe, is the FEMA one in Clay County, $228,900. This one is the lower half. Yeah, this is the lower half. Holman Excavating is 319,580. Holman Excavating again. This is the FEMA portion. $137, or yeah, $137,240. This one's Lehman Construction. Lehman Construction, $59,100. No, FEMA. I'm getting the streets right. That sounds more. Those bids seem more like the Yankton counties. This one's Raymond Construction. Well, this is Yankton County cleanup. $137,750. This one's Two Rivers.
By Yankton too.
Yes. $144,207. And that's all right here.
Yeah,
No Coleman for Yankton County.
Not that I saw.
Okay.
We should have been 3 Two Rivers.
There was. One for each project. So Brad Stanger will, he'll get a copy of these, and go over and make sure they have the specs and then. Yankton County will obviously approve their own, at their meeting after he gets back to you. We'll approve ours at our next meeting.
You know that, will he typically have those, so our next meeting will be Tuesday.
You're talking about next Tuesday?
Yep,
He's gone right now,
yeah,
on vacation.
mentioned that, I'll touch base with them,
So it'll probably be the following meeting.
sure, okay.
And we don't meet till the end of the month either, so. Any other questions?
Yeah, there were 8 envelopes then?
Yes,
Okay. That
3
makes
bids in
sense.
Clay County and 2 in Yankton County.
Yeah. So it looks like that. 137,750 from Wayman and 144,207 from Two Rivers. Am I right in that?
That's what I've got down.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
thank you.
Thanks.
you bet.
Drive carefully.
Will do. Anybody have anything else for ditch board? I'm thinking of a motion to come out.
Move to come out of the-
Second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion passes. We're in regular session. Rod's not here, right? Do you know what the rural access infrastructure grant distribution policy is? Karen?
I don't know. I kind of think it might have been carryover from the last meeting,
Yeah,
but he must not have had an update.
Okay, well, we'll put it on the next meeting then if you want. Dennis.
Yeah, I guess. I give that grant application and just need you guys to sign it. Yeah, and I didn't came to see any questions about anything.
yeah, it looked pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah.
It, due to the large area we're gonna try to cover, we projected to try to do it in a 3-year deal. The state will only grant 1 year at a time, so we have to reapply every year, but that's how they do it. Bonham County has got a new guy. I talked to him. They want in on it. I guess they will get as much help as they put in effort for it. Unfortunately, the thing is, all the weeds in Bonham County end up down here.
Imagine that.
Well, hopefully some settle out in the rest.
Well, yeah, maybe Yankton County will keep some, but
Yeah. The residents' time, the resident and the reservoir may help us.
I guess if there aren't any other questions.
Need a motion?
Motion to sign the grant.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
I guess you're gonna second mail for me then, or?
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
once
I'll mail it out today.
You'll have to type my name in somehow. It says type the name of applicant, or is it Clay County?
Probably Clay County.
Do you know how they?
How do we need to apply for it, Dennis? Clay County or just? Or just have Travis put his name?
Yeah,
Probably Clay County.
name and title.
Yeah, that's the extra title,
Yeah,
but then it's typed name of applicant. So I didn't know.
Can you put both in there? Lake County and.
Can.
Well, it says below it, doesn't it? County Weed and Pest Board Chairman or head of its organization.
yeah.
Okay, so just type my name in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess we'll find out then at our conference in February whether we received the grant.
Anything else then?
Nope.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any visitors to be heard?
I just had one, brought flowers from me there, sort of from everybody, thank you very much, Terry, for. a job
Yes.
Well done,
Thank you.
Yes.
a bit difficult the last few weeks, so thank you.
Yeah, it was a long few weeks, but we made it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing the flowers to us.
I think she deserves that and more.
Yes.
Snickers bar, huh?
Dennis.
Not the little mini either.
No. Andy, can we do you?
I've got the, I've got the Union County contract. They had given us a heads up months ago that they were gonna raise our rate in January to $80 a day from 65. This is we renew the contract annually, whether the price changed or not, but they sent us a contract with that price change on it, asking for a sheriff and chairman's signature and then a signed copy back.
I guess move to have the chairman sign it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
We will in the future. We will in the future.
Yep.
About 2 years. Yeah. Plus 2 years.
Do you want this or does Carrie need it? Okay. Let's see, liquor license renewals for Wimps and Toby's.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
There should be 4 spots for you to sign, Travis, because they each have an on sale and an off sale, so. Or retail and package, I should say.
What's that?
I said I should say retail and package.
Okay, SDSU Extension Service Memorandum of Understanding. And this is the change to Lawrence.
Move to approve that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. LATCF grant authorization.
So apparently the federal government has developed kind of an extension to the ARPA funds. It's a separate program, but we are able to apply for 2 $50,000 payments under this LATCF grant program. So just need authorization for either Travis or I to fill out the application documents. Whichever one of us it requires. I'm not sure at this point, so.
Well, I'll motion to approve that.
I'll second that.
Do we know, well, I guess wait for discussion, but
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
do we know what we have to do to receive this grant?
There's just paperwork to fill out. It's just a lot like the ARPA funds, so. It seems like it's pretty simple. It seems like it's, pretty broad.
Are you asking what strings are attached?
What, I'm asking what it pays for. I guess first, what are they expecting us to do in lieu of this 100K?
It's a lot like the ARPA, so we could use it to cover payroll expenses, and then in turn, whatever we have left in the general fund that wasn't spent on the payroll that we normally would have spent, we could apply to something else. So
it's truly a continuation of ARPA funds
is a
to,
lot like that. Except I think it's even a little bit more broad on the categories. So, yeah,
okay, discussed enough, I guess.
it's a great deal.
Yeah,
No brainer, basically.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes. Brownfield grant authorization of ARPA funding. Or is that, that went with the other one, sorry.
Yeah.
Brownfield grant authorization.
So this is something that was brought to us by Geotech when Scott contacted them about the asbestos testing that we'll need to do for the mechanical project. And so they seem to think that maybe we would be eligible for some grant funding to help cover some of those costs.
At this time, you don't know amounts, right?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
And on here where it says contact person, I would assume that's gonna be Scott.
It can be, sure.
Okay. We're signing a waiver for access to property and liability.
okay,
That's what this is.
I'll move to approve it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes.
Yeah, I've never been on this side of a brownfields thing. So he's been on the other side.
So you've worked with them?
Doing a couple small brownfield projects, yeah.
Carrie, do you want to do the bond update and discussion?
Sure. Just wanted to let you guys know that Tom's already working on the bond documents. If we want to go ahead and levy for 2022 taxes payable in 23 to be able to get that bond payment going, we'll need to have a motion to do that. Tom suggested 2.6 million. He said that is high on the high end, but he wants to make sure that whatever interest rates do in the meantime, until we can get these documents signed, that we're covered, basically, so we don't have a shortfall. And so then I'm anticipating at the end of the month, we'll have the documents for you to sign. It was just a little bit too quick to do it right away. So
2.6 annual payment?
he suggested that just for the first year, just so that we don't, because we don't know the exact amount.
So
I
did,
would not know the exact amount.
Because the interest rates will fluctuate until we get it locked in. And we'll have to have those documents before we can lock it in. But the catch-22 is we also are right smack in the middle of levy season, so we have to, if we want to levy for next year, we have to do it now. Otherwise, you get to the end of the month and it's pretty much too late. The Department of Revenue is already working on things.
Yeah, the only other option would be like bond anticipation notes. And I don't know if he talked about that at all. I mean, we're gonna have sort of this double whammy for this overlap period of both you know, paying for per diem for inmates and also paying for bonds. And you know, the only way I know you know, to get around that is to issue bond anticipation notes and then fold them into the bond when it's floated. And I don't know if he talked about that at all, or if that's a possibility.
He didn't bring that up at all either. And I mean, you could go less than 2.6, it's just if it comes out a little higher, if rates would happen to take a big jump, then we might be on the hook for some of that, you know, if you were to do 2.4 or something instead of 2.6, might be on the hook for a couple $100,000. He didn't seem to think it would go that high, but just wanted to make sure that you're covered. So
This is sort of a worst case calculation.
Mhm.
And,
It is.
Since it's interest fluctuation, it's likely to be probably in the 50 to 100,000 range, fluctuation plus or minus that, or.
probably, and you know, the other thing too is if you levied that 2.6 and it didn't take all of it, then you could levy less the following year. So
It could roll over then.
mhm. That's the way I understand it. The way I understand it is that bond levy would then be something that we would do every year as we do our budget. So it could carry over to the next year.
But we have to make a decision today.
I think we do. I mean, technically I'm on the naughty list. I should have had levies to the Department of Revenue by the first of the month. With the election, that just didn't happen. So we're kind of right there where, and two, I kind of wanted to see how the election came out. So
Is it legal to say up to? Or does it have to be a strict? amount?
no, because I have to,
Okay.
when I send in the levies, I've got to have that exact request.
Just check.
Yeah, I wish we could avoid the the sort of double payments for bonds and I, you know, technically that I know bond anticipation notes would do that, but whether to do them or not would really depend on where we think interest rates are going. And you know, over a period of time, because bond anticipation notes generally take you through you know, just before the building process.
The last time we talked about those, he said that nobody does those.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, nobody here does them. You know, everywhere else in
He
the
said-
world
He
does
said
them.
industry wide, nobody does.
I did see this book that they think inflation has hit the peak. Now, how that affects interest rates, I have no idea, but
They're gonna take a little bit of time to come down.
Yeah.
that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the
That would be
feds,
my guess.
yeah, the feds are not gonna loosen quickly.
Right.
They just might slow their rate of increase. So you know, I mean, I suppose the only question is 2.4, 2.5 or 2.6. Carrie, what's your,
How do you suggest we word our resolution? Put the weight back on you.
Well, we need to have a dollar amount
Okay.
decided for that. And I mean, I can look back at the last thing that I got from Tom, just kind of looking at the projected schedule.
I guess what do we call it?
Let's see. Somewhere here I have that. Let me just open it up real quick. Of course, we're running super slow this morning. Here we go.
But interest rate is killing us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the last projection that I had from Tom was just, you know, a couple weeks ago, and it was looking like maybe that first bond payment would be about 2.65 million, so. I mean, you'd be right in there. And that was again, kind of like worst case, he thought if the interest rates went up, then. You know, he sort of projected that we might be at a 5%. I don't know that they'll go that high, but
So,
He thought it's 5%.
well, it says coupon. I'm assuming that that means. Interest rate here. I'm just looking at his documents and
How many years is he doing?
30.
Okay.
Wait, no, he says, they have average coupon 4.783. So it's getting close to 5. So I think he figured 5 just to keep us on the safe side. At
This
that
is
2.65.
Steve Waller. How does the city's contribution work into those numbers? Because 2.6 is the full bond.
Right.
If you look at the bond form, it looks like he's expecting 600,000 from the city.
That's a good question. We can certainly call him.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Should we
Yeah.
give that a try? I did get an email from him this morning and he said he would be open for phone calls, so.
Worth it.
Um,
We need to talk to him.
so I have his number if somebody wants to,
Well, why don't we table that?
okay, till the end.
And
Okay.
Canvas of the elections.
Should this be on Travis's desk?
No, because somebody else has to go through that
Oh, okay.
as I read them off.
Your hearing's better than mine.
All right.
So I think you've each got a copy of something there. I think Dick and maybe Mike have copies of the Canvas certificate documents. Betty, it looks like you
Detailed
have,
results by precinct.
okay, you have the tabulator sheets. There should be a set of the recap sheets that the precinct board fills out at the end of the night.
Is that what this is?
No, that is our provisional ballot. We did have one provisional ballot in Central 2 and that one was counted.
Okay.
So. And I'm trying to remember if I sat the tabulator in Betty's spot and maybe the recap in Phyllis's or vice versa this morning.
I just have detailed results by precinct.
Okay,
That's what I have.
Phil says the recap.
okay, so Phyllis has got the recap. Okay. So then Travis, if you want to open the poll books and we'll compare the numbers to the recap and what went through the tabulator for each precinct. And then we'll do a quick candidate vote count between the tabulator and the canvas sheets there. So
Rural Ward 1.
there will be 2 poll books for each precinct because we had the absentees done here at the courthouse. So
So I've got 98. Ward 1. Well, we probably have to add the 2 together. Correct.
yeah, there's an adding machine tape there in the corner there on
So what-
Phyllis's copy.
Oh, wait a minute.
So this one's Rural Ward 1 also, and this is 288.
So I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Okay, so Betty, you're looking on the top, the total number of ballots that went through the
Yep.
tabulator
Okay,
for each precinct.
so 98 plus 288.
Should be 386 total.
Yep, got it.
Everybody good with that one?
Mhm.
Rural Ward 2. 55.
I don't really have anything on these, do I?
Not yet. When they go through the candidates, then
Yeah.
you'll,
Then that's what will come to
Yeah.
play.
Right.
That's like the. Our numbers don't tell very good.
Yeah, we got one match.
Yeah.
And 266.
321.
yeah,
Rule Word 3. $378. $569.
947.
Yep.
Central Ward 1. $157.
Okay, I have 156 with a.
was that the one we had the math error? I had a note on one of those recaps. There was one precinct that had a math error.
Spoiled.
Oh, they kicked one out.
Oh, yep,
So
Yep.
156, is that what you have?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
unless they crossed one out. $170.
Yes. Total of 326.
Central Ward 2. $60.
Yes.
And 91.
Yes.
And then we've got the provisional ballot, what do we?
Oh, wait, 91,
Yeah.
60 and 91. So I have 150, not 151.
And I have two totals here. Okay, that was a ballot, 191. And that error, and then down below it's 90. So
90 and what?
ballot voted 91, and that error written with it. And ballot to be counted was 90.
That's the math error one.
Right,
Yeah, and I've got 150, which comports with Phyllis's one math error.
okay.
So where does this provisional ballot have?
So the provisional ballot isn't counted in the tabulator report because it wasn't counted until the board met this morning to count that. But when we go to compare the candidate vote counts, we'll have to add in between the tabulator and that provisional ballot tally sheet to get the total that's on the canvas reports.
So that's where the
So-
151 is gonna come in then,
Yes,
and that's why I have 151. full.
Yep.
So we're getting 150.
yep,
Yeah.
Okay.
yep.
Where's mine? Northeast 1. $129. 167.
Yep, it agrees.
Total of 296.
Northeast 2. 41. And 73.
Total of 114.
114. Well, I've got 113. So, yeah, so total sheets processed is 113, but the numbers here add up to 114. It's 41 and 73.
Yep.
Yep. So this is short one. Anybody figure out?
I was
Why?
thinking that. I was thinking we tied out on that one, but if there is less than 5, you're able to proceed. So. And there's no races that were that close. Obviously, this time we didn't have any ties or anything, so.
Okay.
Southeast 1. $329.
Oh, look, there's the missing recap sheet. We looked all over for that on election night and ended up using a different sheet. They kind of do 2 recaps and we use the other one, so.
Where is this?
443.
Yes.
Yep.
Keep it out.
Yeah, keep it out. Thank you.
Total of 772.
Yep, got 772.
I wondered if it might be in the poll book.
Southeast 2. $250. $295.
Total of 545.
Yep, 545.
Northwest 1. $252.
Yes.
$323.
Total of 575.
575.
Northwest 2. $142. $231.
Total 373.
373.
Now, what else we need to prepare?
So before we move on, that one where we were off one, I just remembered there was an unstamped ballot in that ward. And so the resolution board had to pull that, which would mean the difference between the poll book and the recap and then the tabulator. So that would be our one difference there. So then we'll go through and compare between the tabulator sheets that Betty has and the Canvas reports here, the number of votes counted for each candidate. And you guys can get really detailed and do that by, it doesn't do by precinct, does it?
Yeah.
No, but just, oh, it does. You can do by precinct if you want, you could do the total if you want, I mean, obviously.
We do.
No.
Yeah.
So,
Unless you want to do precinct, so precinct.
so then that very last set of sheets that you should have, Betty, is the grand totals. And
Okay.
that'll have totals by candidate.
So you want me to read them off?
Yeah, if you just want to do that, then Dick and Mike can compare on the
Okay.
Canvas
Where do I find
reports.
My grand totals then, see here.
So you're gonna look at like for each,
Yeah.
for each
Oh, okay.
candidate, like for Brian Bangs,
Okay.
you're gonna look at the
Totals for
total,
Bob.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay, everyone ready?
Yep.
All right, so Brian Bangs, 2041.
I
Tom,
have 2042.
Provisional.
Yep,
This one, right?
okay,
Yeah, that's where, that's where Libby went off and you'll just double check on the provisional tally sheet.
That's where it's at here.
okay, Tamara Lessner, that's 149.
Yeah.
And John Thune, 2,522.
okay,
Overvotes 2. Undervotes 90.
Oh, it won't show those on the Canvas sheet.
Oh, it won't,
still.
okay.
No,
Okay, so just the total,
right.
4804. And that will be one off for everyone. Okay. US Representative, Colin Dupre, or Duprel, 1,163.
Yes.
Dusty Johnson, 2,970.
That's one.
Yeah, plus
71.
we got 71.
Okay, for a total of 4804. For governor and lieutenant governor, Jamie Smith and Jennifer Kites, 2,580.
Plus
Yeah.
one.
Plus one,
This
yeah,
one. Tracy Quint and Ashley Strand, 110.
yes.
Christy Noam and Larry Roden, 2,054. With a total of 4804. Okay. Ready for Secretary of State?
Yes.
Thomas Cool, 2,416.
Plus one.
Monet Johnson, 2,029.
Yes.
And total is 4804. Attorney General. Marty Jackley. 2,843.
Yes.
State Auditor. Stephanie Marty, 2,229
Plus one.
plus one. Renee Meyer, 185. And Richard Satgast, 2,017.
Yes.
For a total of 4804. State Treasurer. John Cunningham, 2,281.
Plus one.
This one. Josh Hader, 2,116. And total 4804. Commissioner of School and Public Lands. Timothy Azar. 2,238.
Plus one.
Brock Greenfield, 2,085. Public Utilities Commissioner. Jeffrey Barth. 2,116.
Plus one.
Chris Nelson. 2,333. And 4,804 is the total votes. For Senator D17, Sydney Davis, 2,498. And the total there is 4,483. For Senator D18, Frederick Bender, 84. And Jean Hunhoff, 213. For a total of 321. State Representative D17, Becky Enquist Schroeder, 2,366.
+1.
William Shorma, 1,433. And Chris Casson, 2,174. For a total of 8,966. And for state representative, Ryan Schwach, 125. Jay Williams, 60. Julie Ock, 174. And Mike Stevens, 160. For a total of 642. Okay. County Commissioner at Large, Jeffrey Gray Loeb, 2,113.
+1.
Constance Moore Nelson, 2,000. David Teasy, 2,144. And James Bonsack, 1,746. For a total of 9,608. Supreme Court Justice Retention Devani. Yes, 2,987.
+1.
No, 828.
We don't have that.
You don't have that?
It might be in a different order.
Yeah.
We might have to flip back.
Okay.
We got the judges coming there right there.
Yeah, there was an error with the layout, and so the tabulator layout doesn't quite match that layout, but
What was that again?
they're all there
Oh,
just in
yeah,
a different order.
Supreme Court Justice Retention Devani.
yeah. So what did you have? Supreme
Well,
Court
okay,
Justice?
Dick, do you have it yet, Devani?
Which one, which
It's on
name?
page 19.
Page 19, okay.
Hmm.
Super. Now we're on the right page.
All right, so yes is 2,987
+1.
plus one, and no is 828.
Yep.
For a total of 4,804. Supreme Court Justice Retention Salter,
Which page?
Next
there?
page,
Okay,
20, page 20.
got it.
okay, yes is 2,916,
+1.
and no is 862. For a total of 4,804. Position A, First Circuit,
Now you might flip back.
Okay, so that's on
Got it.
page 13.
Yep,
okay. Chris Giles, that's 1,716. And same vote total. Down the page, 4,804. Position B, First Circuit. David Knopf is 1,694.
+1.
Position C, First Circuit. Bruce Anderson, 1,659.
+1.
And position D, First Circuit. 1,764.
+1.
That's it, Sherry. Hearing.
Cheryl.
I'm sorry, Cheryl Gearing, yeah. 1,764. Position E, First Circuit. Patrick Smith, 1,634.
+1.
Position F, First Circuit. Tammy Byrne, 2,240.
+1.
Constitutional Amendment D. Yes.
Okay,
Wait till you get that.
page 21. Got it?
Got it? Okay, so Constitutional Amendment D, yes, is 3,139. And no is 1,482. Initiated measure 27. Yes is 2,919
+1.
and no is 1,771. Bond issue 1. Yes is 2,700 votes. And no is 1,763 votes.
+1.
That's
So
it.
do we have to sign these then?
So then, yep, so then I just need a motion to approve the canvas and I need a signature on both of those canvas certificates.
Move to approve.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Drew, you ready?
So which one should we start with?
Let's finish signing first and then we'll get to it. We'll start with the ordinance. Or resolution. Of the resolution.
And then Carrie, you need these back.
Yeah, if you just want to pass them down to Travis, I'll take it all in one stack. At the end.
Do we have a resolution number for this one?
Make your computer easier to use.
Oh, here it is.
Windows will
Yeah,
read
27.
27.
the rest.
I swear, that just, it's like one of those horrible pop-ups that you can't make go away.
Yeah, you close the lid and you feed it in the wall.
And now it's not the password.
Okay, resolution.
Yeah.
And Dick, is there a number for the resolution?
27.
2022-27.
I didn't know if you got your answer or not.
I got my answer. I just had to look at the other page.
From the discussion we had last time, there was questions on that number 3. We can take it out and still pass it today, according to Lexus. But the idea of potentially assigning fines against contractors, whoever else involved. A lot of counties have it. I don't know if they use it. Yankton County has it, Minnehaha, Pennington. But they've got a lot of other language in other parts of their ordinance body, not just zoning ordinance, that kind of supports it. I don't know the answer either way, but kind of leaving it up to y'all. What do you guys?
Well, shouldn't the contractor actually ask for a permit, but I suppose in different circumstances, depends on what they're doing.
Yeah, like you're in the city of Vermillion, and I know Pennington County. Any contractor, electrical, whatever, has to be registered with the city.
Right,
So if there is an issue, then they know who to go for. We don't have that infrastructure in place.
right.
Yeah.
That infrastructure in place of knowing who all our contractors, installers, workers are. So
Yeah, I think it's a nightmare waiting to, I would, well, maybe. Do we have a motion on the floor? No, we don't have, when we have a motion on the floor, maybe I'll ask to amend it to,
I move to
To
approve
strike
resolution number 2022-27.
second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd like to motion to amend the resolution to strike number 3.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second to strike number 3. Any further discussion?
I guess whether or not we had it in there, that would be a place where we may choose, we may never choose to exercise that part. But it could be an additional hammer if we do have it in place.
So we don't have to use it?
No, we don't have to use it.
What happens if we choose to use that section, but don't find everybody involved? Because we don't know. But we know 2, but we don't know the other 5. What happens then?
I don't know.
It's an equal protection claim.
I don't think-
Maybe. And or so. Get a leeway there, in my estimation.
It's more litigation.
So what was Lexus's take on it?
We could remove number 3 if the board wanted, is kind of,
And that's what the motion just was.
Right.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure. I heard
this is
that.
one of those, I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer. This is completely new territory, so.
I think you're opening an awful big can of worms there. I think you're better off, we're going after the person who should have done
Yeah,
the right thing in the first place, not necessarily after contractors.
we would,
That's my opinion.
I can't see us ever assessing a fine on a subcontractor or a utility provider, but I could see us issuing an order to discontinue service to an offending property. So if we're really in trouble, that's the only way we got to make them say, we can do all this fining of the owner and all that good stuff, and 20 years down the pike, we actually get exercise a lien against the property. We don't have anything with immediacy using just 1 and 2, as close as I can tell. Say if we had something where they were doing something that was an immediate injury to the public. That would be the only way at this point that I could think of that we could make them stop right away, would be through that indirect method.
So what do you think about the use of an injunction to create that immediacy? I mean, I guess that's what I'm really relying on in number 2 is that the county can go to court and get a court order. And that would apply to anybody working on the property.
It would be if we include 3,
Well, even if we don't include 3, I mean, you can ask for injunctive relief.
Mhm.
So we can do that. Even if we left 3 in, we can still use the injunction. We don't have to use 3, correct?
True, I think so. Does that sound right to legal counsel?
Yeah, I'm Caitlin Domer, Deputy State's Attorney. You haven't met me. And that's my understanding is if it makes more sense to go the injunction route in this regard rather than to hold them accountable, those subcontractors through a fine. Because you have to prove they knew they were violating the law before you would be able to assess that fine and impose it on them. And so the injunction route, I think, would be the safer and more appropriate route here.
Okay. And that injunction would be to the owner of the property. It couldn't extend to anyone that provides services that would allow it to continue operation.
I'm not sure if it would extend to them, but my understanding of the injunction is if it's against the owner. And again, I can go to Lexi and ask to be sure, but if it's against the owner, all projects or construction or work would cease at that
Yeah.
point.
Could the court enjoin a contractor from proceeding?
I think if they were contracted through the owner, but again, I'd want to double check.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think removing three be okay if that's the case, if we can.
The injunction would be able to include that, right? That, you know, more continuing work on there.
Right, it would
That's what's
cease that
not-
continuing work.
Yeah, so that would include the contractors.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't include your electrical or water
Mhm.
utility providers, as far as more construction or.
Well, I'm thinking of the places where construction's all done. It's been in operation for 2 years and suddenly there's a violation that occurs by the owner itself after construction is done, but ongoing service providers could be an additional hammer. I'm willing to support the motion.
We can always add it later
Yeah,
if we need to. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. So now we've got the resolution. That was just the amendment. So now we need a motion.
okay, motion to approve resolution number 2022-27 as amended.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
We don't need roll call on this resolution, correct?
We probably should, since it's gonna be for fines and things like that.
Okay,
Roll call.
Hammond,
yes.
Manning,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Packard,
Yes.
Mochler.
Yes, motion passes. Now what are we gonna do?
Feedlot discussion.
Okay, I'm gonna recuse myself from meeting over Phyllis.
And open up to the feedback.
Yeah, Phyllis had the point last time about checking on water. I had not thought about that and there. This feedlot's 200 feet from a FEMA floodplain and it's got drainage ditches on either side of it, one of it immediately. And he's also expanded the operation, which has put him right next to that drainage ditch. He's done more infrastructure in terms of adding waters and now apparently crushed concrete for his driveway access and stuff. So,
Yeah, I was up there yesterday.
okay. I've been there this week, but
He's Bobby. I think there was maybe 3 yards before, now there's 4.
there were
4 pin,
four
or it was 4,
kind of shaped in a C.
yeah.
And
Now
then he
now
just-
there's another one,
Yeah. And that's just a hot wire he put out,
yeah.
but it's again, he's looking at expanding it.
Yeah, it isn't as much as permanent fence as the last one, but
Yeah.
still, he's moving more in there, and they're feeder cattle, they're not like cows out on. the road.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel for him, but you gotta go through the right procedures, I know he's trying to make it, like I said, I feel for him, but you gotta do the right thing, and it looks like he is, before there was hoses running around in tanks. And you don't see that yesterday,
No.
so I'm assuming that there's piped in water.
yeah, they had a trencher out there and they were
Yeah.
trenching in stuff, so.
So he's moved forward instead of pulling back, that's what I guess the whole thing is.
So that's where we're at on that.
And that would be a spot where first occurrence of an aquifer would be greater than 50 feet. So we're okay there. I checked that.
Okay. Yeah, and I have contacted the state and they are slowly moving on it, but it doesn't seem to have a lot of traction, so I think we'll have to keep moving on our own to resolve this, so.
So he actually did fill you out a permit after you talked to him? Kinda,
He
Yeah,
didn't finish it
yeah.
though, and he
No,
didn't pay.
yeah, that's what I was reading in the minutes, that's what I was trying,
Yeah, I might. I have it here. Yeah, he was. You know, there's all the extra documents. Yeah, you didn't have any of that for the legal description. You just had section 35.
Basically, it wasn't filled out.
Yeah, it was an application blank without required supporting documents.
Or he admitted in one of he doesn't understand any of the questions on the form, but he didn't ask either. I don't think he understands how
Seriously, it is.
So when is the notice? When is 30 days from the date of notice?
23rd of November. Yeah, so right for Thanksgiving, unfortunately, but I thought we were being real kind, giving him 30 days, because I know in Yankton County, they gave 7 days or something like this, so I think he's been given a lot of opportunity here to do a U-turn and doesn't seem to be interested in that, so.
Yeah, so who would issue the citation? I mean, I assume Alexis would and her team would initiate legal proceedings, but who would issue the citation, which is sort of the critical moment?
Might have to be the board. I'll have to check with Alexis on that.
Or would it be the sheriff's office?
No.
No.
I don't-
Because it's not criminal. It's civil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll check with Alexis and find out.
Yeah. So I think what we're gonna have to do here is adopt some procedures, huh? Yeah. So maybe we can ask Alexis what unless Caitlin, you've thought about that, or, you know, has anybody discussed procedure for beginning to assess civil penalties and ask for an injunction?
I know that Lexi had said she did not have time to research those issues, and so she was hoping to, I think, schedule a special meeting for sometime just like next week to talk to you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, I apologize. Just repeat that. Lexi did not have time this week to research the injunction or the civil penalties and the context of those. And so what she wanted to do was have a special meeting with you guys next week, if possible, once she's had time to research those issues, to discuss them with you at that time.
Sounds good. That sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We've already issued a notice of violation.
Mhm. So the 30 days will be up to 23rd, and let's see. That-
We had it on the 20th of October was when it was delivered. Thought 30 days was 23rd of November, but I can.
Yeah, I think it was in the note in the minutes, it was the 23rd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I remembered.
But that's not 30 days. That's all I'm gonna say. On the 20th of October.
It'll be a little long rather than a little short.
Right.
So
Yeah, he's got longer than 30 days. Yep, I agree. I didn't know when it was
Yeah.
presented, but
and that's from data service.
Yeah.
Okay.
You type into Google 30 days from 20th of October and it tells you.
Yeah.
But no, let's not count it, just give us that little bit of cushion.
so he's probably basically got maybe 32 days in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Day one is
the
one
21st.
day, the next day, be
Mhm.
October 22nd.
November 19th would be 30 days.
oh, it is, okay.
So, but if we meet next week, that, you know, we'd have time to work out what kind of procedures we want to use.
nothing in between to stop any further action.
Not that I can think of, I mean,
Well, could
yeah,
you,
we gotta go to court at this point. We don't really have any other mechanism to use that I'm aware of.
well, what about number 2?
Yeah, that new ordinance.
So what action do you need at this point?
Yeah, so there's in addition to a complaint filed against an offending person. The county may pursue any other legal remedies available, including but not limited to injunctive relief. So I don't know, we might be able to move for injunctive relief earlier. But that would be a question for the state's attorney's office. So that might be something to look into. I don't want them to spend any more money.
Probably next week, then hopefully we'll.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Drew.
Well, it's meet next. Tomorrow.
Although the state's attorney could move for injunctive relief.
Excuse me.
I assume that the state's attorney could move for injunctive relief immediately. But that's a question
Yeah.
for that office to resolve, but it might be one you want to bring up.
All right.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you. And we'll move it back over to you.
Okay, I think we got through everything on the agenda. We didn't forget anything, correct? Nothing added?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Did we do vouchers?
Oh, no, we did not.
I would move to approve the vouchers.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further
Well,
discussion?
Yeah, I had one question for Carrie. We, Interstate Power Systems, we wrote a check for well over $7,000 for starter installation for. And then the total bill from Interstate Power for the month was almost $13,000. So I just thought I'd ask what
So that's,
That would
that
have been a
was
highway
for.
bill.
that's the highway
Yeah,
maintenance count. They come down and do the maintenance for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
they changed oils and they did repaired about two or three different things. I seen that too.
Okay.
Cause I thought, wow. But.
Yeah,
but it-
that was
a lot
my
of it was
response
work.
was, woo.
So the starters, the way they listed is just, that's one of the things. that-
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
like, this much space to list.
All right.
everything
Yeah,
that's-
because I looked up what it cost to change this truck starter and I thought, oh,
Yeah, well, it's that includes the starter itself, and the truck starter can be pretty spendy. I've been burned by that a few times. Interstate, instead of us taking things up to them. Each time something needs service, they come down and just do it all, which. In the long run saves us money. That was our.
Okay.
Decision when we started this year and a half ago.
Yeah, whenever we lost our mechanic.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looked a little deceiving. I seen it too, and I
Yeah.
thought, wow, that's a lot. And then I started reading through it. and
Yeah.
I don't think-
yeah.
Any
All
other
right.
discussion? Anything else? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
I,
All same sign. Motion passes. I need a motion to go into executive session for contract.
so move.
Second.
A motion and a second. We're in executive session.
Okay, let me get things,
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Now we're in executive session.
Move to come out of executive session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We're in regular session. There's nothing else in the agenda that I have.
Well,
did
what
you guys
about-
want to call Tom or
Yeah,
did you?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Let me get his
Can I-
number pulled up here.
I did the math. The deal.
Somebody have a phone you want to sit in the middle of the table, or how do we want to do this?
We don't have one of those phones down here, do we?
No.
Fancy.
We maybe should now that we're down
Didn't we
here.
have one?
This is
No.
speakerphone.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, well, we
we
could
could-
just,
we could kind of back up and move around since we all have wheel.
Well, why don't,
yeah.
what if you called him, see if he can just zoom in?
Oh, I could do that.
Be better yet.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yes.
Too late in the day to think. While you're doing all
let's
that.
see.
Take recess.
Okay. And this bathroom. It's 12:02.
Real.
What time
Time
flies?
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. Well, we started late too.
Yeah.
So we, about 3/4.
Have been the city plans for the other property. Us.
Getting out there. I've heard some housing, a part of it. I've heard.
Hi, Tom, it's Carrie in Clay County. My commissioners are wondering if you have a minute to talk to them on Zoom. Okay, so if I forward the link to the Zoom meeting to you, if you could log in real quick.
That's a line.
They have questions about levying that first year of bond payments, so. Okay, it should be popping up for you pretty soon here, because I just sent it, so.
I drove up there, Travis told me. See that, okay. Then I drove up yesterday. Take a look when I was out of the bond. I mean, I realized we put electric fence up now, but put a pretty elaborate electric fence. He's got about three wires, hot wires. With drop ins, which is not a big deal. A lot of these fencing isn't that. It isn't.
So using T-posts on the hot wires then, or see that
It's got wood posts, some of it, they have key posts on top of it.
every third probably.
We did.
Isn't like these fence.
We actually had it winterized and then we de-winterized it because we had family that came in from Washington for a funeral and needed a place to stay. And so we de-winterized and got the heat going and it worked out really well. So
Yeah.
now we've got it redone again. So we just haven't, we have enough room in our driveway that we just leave it there.
Russ.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could be blanket on it.
Right. So, or maybe if you go to the Clay County website and go to the commissioners page, if you open up the agenda, the links on the agenda there too, so.
Always put up a ton of, they were all in there, so.
Whichever way works the best.
We could spend the money on it. Fixed in there, what, original, we had better. Oh, yes.
Since you open up today's agenda.
Yeah, I drive up, it's hard to accept how many yards it was. You know, I knew there was three. They didn't put it in five.
ClayCountySD.org.
Going up and doing physical count. Tell us, I mean, we really need.
No, just above that, there's a link for.
Say, going to say.
It's at the bottom.
4,000 feet, 40,000 feet. Fairly complete resolution. So doesn't have to be perfectly vertical even, but it should be close to that.
Give me the idea, but whatever idea how the gallon comes there.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I'm gonna admit you to the meeting and I'll go ahead and hang up. Thank you, Tom.
Got chewed out several times from this county castle. Or so there's somewhere between 230 here. So you start on one side, they're all milling around.
Very hard now. Unless you're running them through a gate.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Whenever you're ready, Travis. Yep, he's on.
Whenever you're ready, Tom, or what were the questions that we had? Participation, or what did you?
So, so the possibility of bond anticipation notes. But then I think we were also trying to, I think the main question was zeroing in on how much we actually have to put in our budget. We need to work out the tax levy. And yeah, we just need the best number we can get for the.
How we should word the resolution.
Mhm.
Are you there, Tom?
Are you guys still there?
Yep.
I'm like bouncing in and out here. I don't understand what's going on, but all right. So, well, I guess that, I mean, and you can hear me? Because my
Yes.
video doesn't seem to want to work here, so. So right now, I mean, you passed your bond issue, you can only collect, taxes, annually, and you got to levy them, on an annual basis, and you're always a year ahead or a year behind, however you look at that. So, so I just mentioned to Carrie that, since you passed your bond issue, instead of having to capitalize any interest and use some of the construction fund monies to pay interest for the next year or so, when you issue the bonds, the best thing would be to go ahead and levy, put a levy in place to collect taxes for next year. So 22 pay 23 taxes, which, since you haven't already spread the levy, you can go ahead and do that according to the state.
And I guess the question is, what should that number be?
Right. So I've just, I ballparked it. I think, what did I say in my email? 2.5 million. Which is, it is going to be a little bit of a, bump on that, because we can take some of that out of that, but 2.6 is kind of where it's at right now. Just in preliminary numbers is 2.6. Now, granted, the city's supposed to contribute a certain amount of money to this, but I'm sure the city isn't ready to, write you guys a check for that piece of it yet. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I tried calling John to find out where they stand, but he's gone today. So, so that first year, really, the county, the taxpayers in the county, I think, are going to end up having to, for that first full year, be taxed for that, which I'm sure isn't the best thing. But again, you've got to pay debt service on the bonds one way or the other.
Yeah, and I guess the issue for us is that we're also still paying for, transporting and boarding inmates at other jails all over Creation. So we've got this period of time until the jail's built, when it looks like we're going to be paying for the bond, and in addition, this inmate transportation. And so, I always like to, try to smooth things for taxpayers to the extent you can. But what this is going to look like for them is a big bump up. And then, it will go down after the jail's open and we can finally put inmates in there. I don't know if there's any way to, soften the 2 years while it's, the tax impact of the bond expenses for the 2 years that we're also paying for room and board for inmates. That's what is it, three quarters what, 650, or now it's gonna be more because we don't have Union County. Yeah. Yep, yep.
But we opted out for 250,000,
Right.
so instead of 725.
Well,
So I
we-
don't know if there's any smoothing mechanism.
Well, I guess we could work on that. Yeah, I mean, there is, because the smoothing mechanism is that we can push more of the principal down into the latter years so that the impact initially isn't as great. There is principal in those earlier years, assuming level debt service. So we could push some of the principal down and structure around that. What number, I guess, what number, do you have a number you feel comfortable with, Carrie, that you can tell me, and then, we can structure it around that?
Well, I think that's what they're just kind of debating here is, I mean, what do we need to do?
So how quick do we need to have this figured?
Well, and maybe we back up a second. So, well, I mean, before Carrie spreads the levy, if we're going to collect next year, I mean,
Which
you guys, and if you guys want to take the opportunity, and take the risk, I don't advise this necessarily, but if you guys want to, we should talk about timing of the bond issued. So do we try and issue bonds and get rates locked in now because we think rates are going to go up, which I still think the trend is still upward, even though today was a great day in the market. I still think the trend is upward. Or do we wait until, we get design done, we do more of a traditional route, which I would say you go through the whole design, start the design period, and then you wait that period of time and issue bonds maybe in the summer and do that. And then you will have a period where, again, the next time to collect your payments on this are not going to be until next year, then 24. So you will have a long interest period for that first year, until June, say June of 2024, instead of June of 2023, which is what's planned right now. So you'll have interest for a full year you'll have to pay on at that time, but then you wouldn't have the interest that would be accumulating until June, because I mean, you're not going to need the money right away, because I don't think the folks have already done final design on this and got it all ready to go. So, but that's a risk. And I advise against that, but that's why we're kind of moving ahead with this and we're having this conversation now, because my advice is to try and lock rates as soon as possible, because I think the trend is still upward. But again, if you want to wait, we can wait, and then we can deal with, we won't have such an overlap then by doing that, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you about the interest rate risk. And I think we ought to, probably proceed with bonding sooner. But I'm just wondering if we could smooth the payments in the first 2 years. And how much would that cost to smooth payments until the jail actually opens?
Well, and that's why I'm asking, exactly what day do we have to go, that we have to make this decision? Because I'm meeting with the city this afternoon, Andy and I are. And prior to this, they were talking about front loading their payments. So that would help us.
Oh, would it ever?
I couldn't hear that last statement about the city.
The city was talking about front loading their payments. They're not looking at taking 30 years to pay. Now, I'm not going to speak for them. This was just conversation we've had.
Right.
I
And
just
I had similar conversations with John too. They don't want to look at doing 30 years.
right. And my understanding is they're gonna do it out of a tax, so they don't have to bond. They wouldn't bond anyway, but their payment would be out of sales tax. So that's why I was wondering if we could talk to them first and figure out what they're actually gonna do for.
We guys are already talking about having a special meeting next week, right? So, could we decide then? Would we know by then?
Well, yeah, and it
Yeah.
just really comes down to when you spread, according to the state, and what I've been told by Wendy at the state is it really depends on when you spread the levy. Because once the levy is spread, the nice thing is you guys are the county, you guys spread the levy, Carrie's office spreads levy. So if you don't spread the levy until the second week of December or whenever you decide to do it, then I mean, we can make the decision up until that point. Because once the levy's spread, that dollar amount is spread at that time. Does that make sense?
I was just telling them earlier in the meeting that I'm already sort of on the naughty list. We're
Right.
supposed to have levies to Wendy by November 1st, and that just hasn't happened this year with the election. So I really do have to get it done next week and get those to her. So
Friday. Actually,
next Friday is probably not too late, as long as I have everything else ready to go.
Cause then we'll also have
Yeah, I think,
other information.
yeah, I think we should try to lock in as quickly as we can, the way it sounds, and that if we can get all the prep work done, so we can just pull the trigger late next week. Go ahead with the thought, just assume we're gonna go at that suggested the suggestion he came up with, what was that,
2.6.
2.6? And by then we'd know how much the city would be popping
what
in
we
next
have
year,
to.
yeah, for this,
Yeah.
for this next year.
And once we know that, maybe Carrie could work with Tom on figuring out if there's a way to smooth those payments. You know, or actually it's smoothing our levy by having maybe modified principal payments for the first few years. Until we've got that jail open and, we're not spending $500,000 a year on.
Yeah, in general, I like to pay principal as quickly as you can, because that gets it off the amount that the interest rate is calculated upon.
Yep.
But so if we could do it by sticking to the plan 2.3, it's probably better.
And then, and once this may not be an issue once the city, decides, if they decide that they want to prepay $500,000 a year, we're out of the woods.
Yeah, I just.
Could happen.
We just need to figure that out.
Let's find it out,
Talk to them today and see what they can figure out.
Great.
right?
All right. Sounds like we got a plan.
They may not be able to give us an answer yet today, but possibly by,
I don't expect an answer today, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping to have an answer by Friday.
right? Okay,
My understanding is Katie's out of the office and so is John, so. But maybe they were in a meeting with you guys, so I don't know.
No, they were out of the office until noon today.
Okay. I think Katie was gone all day today, but if John gets back, I left him a voicemail, so we'll see I wanted to kind of see what his plan was, if there was gonna be any money this year or not, and if there was, then, then we could levy, lower the levy based on that. And leave it the same, but we can do some smoothing in the end, I guess I just throw it back to Carrie, whatever number she feels comfortable with levying, because again, you're still got, I really got to say though, even if the city says, hey, we're going to give you $600,000 this year, that the city's not on the hook. If the city decided not to pay, you guys would still be on the hook for that 2.6 million if we left the schedule the way it is. So I like Carrie's idea that we maybe mess with it, or just, I'd say mess with, that sounds like a bad word maybe, but we level it out, we smooth it out a little bit. Maybe we go 2 million and then we push some of the principal down to the lower years, at least for the first year, until we get some city money. And once you have a balance in your bond redemption fund, you can show that as a credit against future levies. And then you could lower your levy based on how much money you already have in that fund. Does that make sense?
Yep.
are there,
So the first year we go 2 million, and then maybe the city gives you $500,000. So then you end up with 2.5 million, but debt service is only 2 million. You levied 2 million. So then next year we can do, we can do what we said we were going to do, 2.6, but you already got $500,000 from the city in there, and then they give you another $500,000. You're going to be ahead. Does that kind of make sense?
Yep.
And we can do that.
that sounds like a good plan.
All right. Well, let's continue those discussions or whatever, but I think, yeah, if you guys want to do the 2 million and something like that, we've got room to do that. And then it doesn't hit them. It doesn't hit them being the taxpayers. It hits them at the levy that would, at the level we told them it would hit them at.
So this is just a question for the future. If interest rates drop, can you refinance bonds? Or are we locked in?
Yes.
You
Well,
can.
yes, we can refinance bonds. They'll have a non-call period on them. Probably, you know, a 10-year non-call period is where the market is right now. If rates get low enough, like we were doing the last couple years, you know, we were going in and doing refundings on a taxable basis because the taxable rates are actually lower than the muni rates. When the tax exempt rates were issued, the muni rates were issued back in the day. I don't see that happening in the near future, but if rates do come down like that, we can, you know, we'll do refinancings on these and we monitor that over time.
Okay.
How much does that cost you in terms of interest rate increase to have them callable?
That's what I was saying, the 10-year, I think 10-year right now, because of the way rates are, we were down in the 6 and 7-year range where it didn't cost you anything. To answer your question, it didn't really cost us anything. We weren't buying anything that the market didn't already acknowledge as normal. But with rates going up the way they are, people are trying to protect their rate. So I would say right now, normal is a 10-year call, which is, it's kind of interesting. That was like the norm when I first started 30 years ago was probably a 10-year call. So now we're back to that. And we're back to rates about where we were at back in the 90s, 90s and early 2000s. So it kind of makes sense that they're asking for a 10-year protection period, basically. But again, if rates come way down, we can always go back in and do them as taxable refinancing too. So that's, you can do as many of those as you want.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Tom?
Congratulations, you guys. That's I guess I would have never bet the house on it, but I was hopefully optimistic, but you guys had a good plan. Steve did a great job out in his presentations, and I think everybody really likes Andy and they want to give him a new building. So
Hey, 60%. That was amazing.
that's pretty dang good. That'd get you passed on any bond issue in the state. 60% will. So
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. That's committee.
Mhm.
Well, if there's nothing else, thanks, Tom.
you bet. Thank you.
I have one thing. You know, earlier when we first started this whole thing, clear back, didn't we have some people come in and talk to us about some grants from USDA and that kind of stuff?
They did. It's because Leo talked to him at the state.
Yeah.
I think,
I remember that lady came in and then there was the guy too that time.
I remember the lady.
They weren't very
Like-
positive about it though.
No.
You know,
It was like $250,000 and it was like for soft costs.
Yeah, that was what it was.
Which, I mean,
That's why I'm
Everything
everything
is-
is saying, maybe we should entertain that again, at least see if there's, you know.
oh yeah, we definitely need to, we should look into it.
What's that?
Yes.
Yes, I totally agree.
And then if we got windfalls like that, we can always let that be reflected in our annual levies.
Correct.
The other part is that there's some chance that we could get something with the new regional jail thing at some point. Not a good chance of that, but boy, they really sold on having a regional jail in Clay County in that particular committee, but that's only 10% of the legislature.
Yeah, the bill that the committee came up with, which I think I sent you all a copy of. Andy and I talked about it, and it just wouldn't work. It doesn't help us anyway.
Yeah.
And I spent over an hour with the lawyer up in Sioux Falls this week, and explained our concerns and said basically this is the concern of everybody who needs to build a jail. That small communities, small counties don't. I mean, they are not going to pay capital costs, and so unless they add into that statute a section on per diems, and it doesn't help. I mean, it doesn't
Right.
help us. Yeah, and they're not willing to put any money up. So I think we are so much better off that it worked out this way. Yeah,
We'll see, but what I'm saying is that it's early in the process there.
Yes.
And it could be that, you never know, those sorts of things with the legislature we've known for the last several years that you never know when they're gonna pop a 80 mile an hour interstate speed limit into a unrelated bill.
yeah. Well, and the other thing is apparently there's, that's the scuttlebutt is that, that the intention, if this proposal doesn't work, is to mandate, regions
Right.
and create regional jails by state mandate.
That always works. People are really receptive to those.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is, I don't like, I never liked it as soon as the railroad authority said this is the plan you should follow.
well, and this is, that the ordinance was based on the Railroad Authority enabling ordinance.
Yep.
And I do think public authorities have their place, and I've been part of one, I've worked with them, they can work. But the current proposal is not workable.
To adjourn.
Did you guys want to set a meeting for next Friday or
Yeah, we might as
before we
well.
adjourn?
You want to do it for next Friday? Is that what you're thinking?
I think we're gonna have to because
Enough time to. go out.
Because I won't have that, the meeting for Ethan Fee is on Thursday, so.
so that'd be the 18th.
Hmm.
I think I'm good. Anybody else good on Friday?
Yep.
9 o'clock again?
9 a.m.
Okay.
on the 18th.
Now I'll let you adjourn.
Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Yeah.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.